everyone. Thank you for joining us for our first Your Galt interview, which is going to focus on the local businesses and community members in our area. Today, I am so happy to be sitting down with Denise. She is the owner of Atlas Yoga Studio in downtown Galt. So we are just going to get to know Denise a lot better. She's going to explain to us the different practices she teaches. And at the end of this interview, she is going to show us and demonstrate some breathing exercises that'll really help us through these tough times, especially because of COVID. So welcome, Denise. Thank you so much for being here. If you don't mind, just share a few neat things about you and let everyone know a little bit more about you.
I guess we moved to Cambridge in 1995 when my second child was born. And the thing that brought us to Cambridge, like a lot of other people, was really downtown Galt. And it's the bridges, the architecture, the trails was really what brought us to Cambridge. And we decided to raise our family in Cambridge. So all three of my children grew up in Galt. And when I opened the yoga studio in 1999, we opened at the Ray Electric building. This is a Cambridge show, so let's talk about the Cambridge pieces of it. We opened at the Ray Electric building with an amazing New Year's Eve party. I bet there's a lot of people who might even get to listen to this who were at that party. It was about 60 people. And we had so much fun. We rocked that giant open space, and a lot of our yoga teachers even today were there. Like Danny Ingerville was there. He teaches yoga with us now, and a lot of other people were there at that inauguration. And then over the years, I've moved to different spaces, but we've had a studio in downtown Galt since 1999 consistently. And then when COVID hit last spring, we decided to be proactive. We closed on March 13th, thinking we were going to close for 2 weeks.
Right.
And we already had a business plan to begin to monetize and upgrade our website. We'd been working with Digital Main Street, and we had started collecting content, and we realized how bad we were at it. Right? I'm really great at teaching yoga and really terrible at making videos. But I kept getting the advice that it was better to have content. As long as the audio was good, it wasn't as important that we were good videographers, that people were looking for quality content. And we did have quality content. I've been teaching yoga since 1993, 94 in the fitness industry for like 35, well, getting closer to 40, we won't count all the years, right? But we've been teaching a long time, working in this industry a really long time, and we wanted to bring that and share some of the things that are not necessarily in books and that with the world in the form of video and audio. And we created courses and we had some coaching going on, and then COVID happened, and it's like, okay, all of a sudden, I was sat in front of my computer all day, every day, doing yoga, live online, trying to figure out the right formats for it. I really feel like, actually, Molly, I've said to several people, I feel like from March to about September that I climbed to base camp in the technology world of like Mount Everest base camp. And I feel like I had about 72 Sherpas that hauled my ass uphill because I had no idea what I was doing when we started. One other thing we did, Molly, in March was I decided straight up that all frontline healthcare workers would get free access to everything I created.
I love that. That's so amazing of you.
And it was the most important thing I think that we did, because right away we had a few social workers, a couple of nurses, and one or two, we even had like a funeral director, like different people who are being affected by COVID-19 in ways that none of us expected. We thought we were closing for 2 weeks, and a year later we're still closed, right? So our physical studio's closed, but the online membership is really awesome.
And that's what I think is so amazing. And the fact that you were able to adapt so quickly, like you just kind of took those 2 weeks to maybe get more of an online presence, which then skyrocketed, and now you're doing online classes. But I think that's so important because people, like the whole world's trying to adapt to this new lifestyle of staying at home. And to be able to have this outlet where they can practice their yoga and to be able to get yourself out in front of your members, because it is so important for everybody to have a little bit of normalcy, right, in their lives. So that's amazing. Again, that's another reason why I wanted to talk to you. So what got you started in yoga?
Well, I was pregnant with my first child, and I was working full-time for City TV and Much Music in Toronto. I had designed and manufactured a line of ladies' clothing called Axel Clothing, and I had a showroom down on Peter Street, and I taught about 15 to 20 hours a week of aerobics and slide, step, aqua fitness.
Oh my gosh, it's so busy.
Yeah, fitness was my hobby. When I met my friend Susie Diaz in Toronto, and she is just a lovely soul. She was teaching at the Elmwood Club, and we were both teaching at the Elmwood Club, and I often subbed for her or she subbed for me. And one day we were just having a conversation. We'd never actually met, and we said, let's hang out after your class. I've got to come in and teach one after you on this day. Let's have a tea together. And so we hung out and chatted, and she was going to be offering this, like, do you think you want to be a yoga teacher? It was like this introductory 30-hour, 35-hour course over 8 weeks. And I had just had Connor by then. And so with Connor in tow, and I went to yoga teacher training, and it was like all my education and philosophy and psychology and religion and culture and my hobby of fitness and dance and gymnastics and all that just kind of came slamming in together on the yoga mat. And we didn't have yoga mats back then. We had gym mats. It was before the yoga mat.
Before the craze, right?
Right? We didn't have yoga mats. We used Duri mats, like little cotton rugs and stuff like that. Right? We made it up. And that would have been 1993, and I finished that in 94 with her. And I started teaching immediately, as I was a confident teacher. I'd been in the fitness industry for 10 years, and I've never looked back. It was like, it's like a light bulb went on, and I went wide and deep. I'd go wide and take intensives with different teachers, and then I'd learn everything I could about that style of yoga. And then I'd find another thing that got me excited. And over about 8 years of being pregnant and babies and nursing and pregnant and babies, and I had 3 kids over 8 years. And I realized that the practice that kept me coming back to my mat was Ashtanga yoga.
What does your yoga studio specialize in?
Well, after about 15 or 20 years with the studio, we eventually started calling what we do samasa. Samasa means fusion in the Sanskrit language. And so we call it samasa vinyasa or samasa hatha yoga or samasa therapeutic yoga. And that means that we're bringing together a lot of different techniques and different styles of yoga into one system. So our Samasa Vinyasa flow yoga classes are really like Ashtanga. If you've ever done the challenging flow type of class where there's a really classic system, you do this, this, and this. Well, we bring a somatic warm-up to that so that you don't start with sun salutations. The average Western body is really not designed to start their workout with a sun salutation.
Okay, thank you. I thought it was just me. I'm like, wow, we're getting right into this.
Right? No, and especially a Vata. Like Vadas need the warming up movements for the fluids to move through their joints and through their muscles, right? And if I'm saying things that you don't understand, come to class and I'll explain it.
That's perfect.
Right? Yes, but so then we do teach the classic forms, but we warm up somatically. We offer alternatives, and because some people's bodies are never going to be designed to do some of the practices.
So I checked out your website a little bit before our interview today, and I did notice that you also do some training. So if people want to become yoga teachers, is that the proper term?
Yeah. We've been training teachers since 1997. So the same thing that led me to open a yoga studio, before I opened the yoga studio, I had some yoga practitioners coming to me and saying they'd like to do yoga teacher training. And at first I would send them to Toronto, to Kripalu in Lennox, Mass, sent them to the Omega Center, to various trainings that I'd heard about and had investigated and worked, and different teachers that I'd worked with. These 2 students came back and went, okay, so I've done this yoga teacher training, and now I feel like I really want to know how, like, it's not how you teach. And so
Right.
they asked me to put together. So my first course was so you think you want to be a yoga teacher. And then from that first training, they absolutely loved it, became amazing yoga teachers. And I realized that I enjoyed the process of training yoga teachers. And so I decided that I was going to investigate and create a program that would be the best program that I could create. So I went to England and I talked to people from the British Wheel of Yoga. I talked to people from across Canada in different training programs. I interviewed people from the biggest training programs that I could find, Shivananda, Kripalu. I talked to the Bikrams people at the time. I talked to some of the styles of yoga that are out here now didn't exist back then. But fair to say, I talked to about 20 different people so that I could look at what I had done to get where I was, and I could look at all these other influences, and we put them together and we created our first like full-on yoga teacher training program later that year in 1997. And we offered our first, back then it was 180, it's now a 200-hour course. And since then we've trained over 1,000 yoga teachers.
Wow.
And we have had associations with Wilfrid Laurier University and continuing education for a while. And then it came back to the studio. I realized I liked having control of it. And we ended up offering it at our studio anyway. And so we've been offering 2 or 3 200-hour programs a year. And about maybe around 2013, we started our 500-hour training program. And then shortly after that, we started our 1,000-hour yoga therapy program. Most students who come through those programs are just phenomenal teachers. And I would say there's got to be 40% of the teachers in our whole region came through our teacher training program. That would be a true story still. There's more and more coming from different places, but often we'll also get trained teachers who've gone to like Costa Rica or Mexico to do their training in a 1-month intensive, and they come back and they haven't had any teaching experience. They find us and we do a partnership with them where they get to come to classes, they drop into our teacher training, and they sometimes will do a volunteer stint teaching with us, so they get feedback from peers and from senior teachers, right?
Oh, perfect.
So we've done a lot of really fun stuff.
It's amazing. Honestly, I feel like I'm going to be signing up for your classes today. So it's been so amazing talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing all this amazing information, your story, and your passion. It has been an absolute pleasure getting to know you. So I guess just to end things now, is there a breathing exercise that you want to demonstrate today that maybe could help a lot of people out there with these times?
I would love to share this. And if this is something that our viewers, our listeners are struggling with, feel free to contact me and I'd be happy to support them through it. But for today, there's a really great thing we can do to begin to practice strengthening the lungs and the apparatus of breathing. And it will strengthen our lung capacity and at the same time activate the parasympathetic nervous system so that you can calm yourself. So it's a self-soothing type of exercise. If you're experiencing anxiety and shortness of breath, this is a great exercise. And it's also just a good exercise to practice so that you have the skill set. And it may sound silly, but the more you practice a thing, the more natural it will be when you need it, right? So sitting up tall, shoulders back and down, get the feet grounded and let the eyes close softly. If you're practicing this with us today, just let your eyes close softly. You can also just listen and replay it to practice it another time if you'd like to do it another time, right? So eyes closed, arms relaxed, shoulders back and down. And at first, just let the abdomen become soft. And if you're having a panic attack, it's hard to do all those things. So you would just start and sipping like you're sipping air through a straw. And we need to do it for about 3 minutes, which might seem like a long time if you have anxiety. The thing that goes through the mind is that it's not going to work. Just keep sipping air. You're not trying to get it down into your belly, you're just bringing the air into the collar region. Keep sipping breath while I explain what's happening. I don't know about anybody else, but I love understanding why a thing works the way it does. But the idea, the theory with this is that the sipping starts to get in just enough oxygen to start to change the chemical reaction that's going on in the brain that will then have a relay system back to the muscles that are contracting in the lungs, in and around the lungs. This clamping down will begin to relax because just enough oxygen gets in to stop that carbon dioxide response, right? When we can't get a breath in, the body tenses up and it keeps trying to get breath in. When we take the little tiny sips, it starts to calm that mechanism. So if you need to calm yourself for any reason, this is a really great, simple way to do it. We're going to stay with it for about 1 more minute today, little tiny sips of breath. We inhale actively, passively releasing the breath. So if you're trying to help someone with this breathing exercise, 3 minutes can feel like a really long time, right? They can stop anytime that they find that their breath returns to normal. If you're doing it as an exercise, try to continue for 3 minutes total. All right, and let's let the breath relax again, back into its natural rhythm. Your eyes can stay closed and just listening to my voice today. And now, if you're in a place where you can do this comfortably, ideally, if I was coaching someone through a panic attack and or someone who had COVID and was having trouble breathing, I'd ask them to lie down on the floor. If you're at your office or your desk and it's not convenient, you can scoot your chair back a little bit away from your desk. You can stack your forearms or stack your hands and bring the forehead down to the hands. And the essential part of this is to bring the forehead to the hands. It is one of the ways that we activate almost immediately the parasympathetic nervous system. I don't know if you're old enough to remember having naps in kindergarten or grade 1. One of the things that they would get children to do is lie on their stomach with their forehead on their hands or their forehead on their desk because it calms us, right? So if you get into position on the floor or at your desk and forehead is on the hands, and begin to become aware of the breath in the back body. And as you breathe into the back body, with each breath, now see if you can just take a little more breath and become a little bit more aware of breathing into the back body. So one of the theories in the research that I did earlier this year, and more recently from the International Association of Yoga Therapists, a big paper came out on COVID and breathing. They say that if you can get the breath more into the back body, it can oftentimes, again, calm down this clamping down of the lungs and help you to use more of the available lung capacity. So trying to breathe into the back body, maybe you can feel the ribs subtly moving with your breath. That's it. I feel kind of like romper room. I can't necessarily see you, but I'm going to tell you you're doing a great job. Because we don't hear that often enough, right? You can't hear a little bit of praise often enough in life. Know that you're doing a great job. This is one of the most bizarre times in history to be alive. Gratitude that we're alive and well today. And if you have COVID, I hope these exercises help you to be able to feel a little calmer, breathe a little deeper, and feel just a little bit more relaxed. If you'd like to have more information or do a full practice with us, we're happy to send you a copy of the breathing exercises that we have for COVID-19. And if you are a member of our yoga community, you can get free access to that as well. We will send it to you for free, whether you're a member or not. But if you're a member, you get free access to that. All right. And taking a moment now just to notice how much more breath you can take in. And come on back up to seated and join us. And if you've tried this exercise with us today and you found it useful, you can let us know and maybe share it with other people. Feel free to share this video with other people. If you'd like to know more about breathing exercises for COVID, you can contact us at info@atlasstudio.com. We'd be happy to share our resources with you. And if you'd like to practice with us regularly, we do have a member website. It's atlasstudio.com/online. And we have an offer for either a free drop-in class, and if you are a frontline healthcare worker, you have complete free access. You can sign up for a year, and we would love to support you. So thank you to everybody who came out today or who took the time to listen to this full interview and maybe even try a breathing exercise with it. We appreciate you playing with us today and hope to see you again on the mat sometime. Have a great day.